Hey everybody, and welcome to Ethics at Aiken Tech Summer 2022 edition. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go over the parameters of the course and explain the syllabus. So let's get started by finding where you can find the syllabus. Let's go. Okay, so here we are in Blackboard. To get to the syllabus, what you'll do is you'll go over here to where it says Course Info, and right here is the syllabus, and you click on that, and it will open up the syllabus for you right here. So let's get into that. And let's start by taking a look at the course description. So this course explores the major problems and questions of moral philosophy from ancient to modern times by critically evaluating and applying various ethical theories and principles to historical and contemporary moral dilemmas. Works of important philosophers shall be read. The basis for this inquiry is drawn from history, theories, and the application thereof, methods of reasoning, and this endeavor shall be carried forward to more recent thinkers and issues. Its thematic elements are contemporary, including the nature and abiding presence of philosophizing in human discourse, and this discipline's impact on current developments in science, the humanities, and political social order in world cultures. So what that means is we'll be dealing with the theoretical aspects of ethics, which is going to be, some technical stuff. But also, even when we're doing the stuff that seems the most technical and the most abstract, it has particular application to stuff going on right now. Then, here are the things that you need to do for this online version of the class. First thing you're going to have to do is going to be to read out of the required textbook. Now, the required textbook for the course on the next page is Lewis Podgeman's Moral Philosophy 4th edition. Granted, most of the texts that we're going to cover in here actually are in the public domain, so you can look them up online for free, but you will need to read them. I'll spend some time going over them in depth in some videos in the course, which brings me to the second point. The second thing you have to do is watch occasional videos and downloadable MP3s of lectures. So most of the course is going to be like this, where you're going to be watching a video like you are right now. So this is an introductory video, but most of the videos of the course are going to be covering course content that we'll actually be studying together. I will also have some MP3 lectures available as well. So some audio recordings of times where I was in an actual in-person class and some times where I went over into in-depth text. So those will be available for you as well. The third thing you'll have to do is submit written assignments in Blackboard. We'll get into that later in this video, namely the weekly analyses assignments. 4, you'll have to take quizzes in Blackboard, which we'll also talk about later in this particular video, and how to do that, where to find them. And finally, fifthly, you'll need to be able to retrieve and submit documents from and into Blackboard. And a sixth item that you'll see explicitly stated here is to participate in Blackboard discussion board and or Discord, which I'll talk more about explicitly when I get to assignments. The required textbook for the course is Lewis Podgeman's Moral Philosophy 4th edition, although I will say that most of the things that are in this textbook, the actual historical texts themselves, are all in the public domain until we get to very, very contemporary stuff, so just keep that in mind. However, Podgeman's editorial aspects are not in the public domain, and they are confined to this book, and they're quite helpful. Okay, so what do I expect you to do in this course? The following things. Recall and identify the major thinkers, schools, core philosophical questions, terms, and concepts found in the history of ideas cross-culturally construed from ancient times to the contemporary world. So basically, be able to recall and label the things that I talk about in the class. So if I'm talking about Aristotle or Immanuel Kant or utilitarianism or virtue ethics, I don't expect you to know those things now, but I expect you to be able to at least recognize, oh, that thing he just described, that's virtue ethics. Or that person, that would be Aristotle. Okay, not yet, but as we get through things, we'll do this gradually throughout the semester, be able to recall and identify those things. 2, interpret and explain core philosophical questions and concepts in terms that illustrate a comprehensive understanding thereof. A comprehensive understanding thereof for an introductory course. I'm not expecting anybody to have a PhD in ethics as we're going through this course, but be able to at least say, okay, this is how utilitarianism was explained to me in class, here's what utilitarianism is, and maybe here's some problems with that. Or here's why it's good, those kinds of things. Demonstrate that you know what you're talking about, at least insofar as we've talked about it in the class. 3, apply core philosophical questions and concepts to contemporary issues and personal experience. The stuff that we talk about matters very much, and it matters now. Show me how. And again, there'll be some assignments, namely the weekly analyses, where you'll have the opportunity to do just that. 4, compare and contrast related core philosophical questions and concepts and the correlates of thinkers and schools with which they are commonly associated. Know who's on what team. Later on in the course, you should be able to do things like, oh, John Stuart Mill, he's a utilitarian. Immanuel Kant, he's a deontologist. Aristotle, Kongzi, they're into virtue ethics. And you'll be able to put them together. Just like you might be able to put athletes onto, when you hear an athlete's name, you might be able to put them into a particular team or league or sport. 5, justify a sound philosophical position on a topic or topics of contemporary human interest in the areas of knowledge, ethics, or human condition that integrates and logically demonstrates a synthesis in thought. What does that mean? Short version of that, when you do your writing assignments, the weekly analyses, just be prepared to back up what you're saying. One of the most important things about a philosophy class is learning how to back up what you're saying. Not just take things at face value and say, oh, this is true because it's obviously true because I believe it. Great. Back it up. Think of yourself like you're in a courtroom. Back up what you're saying. Always support whatever your position is with evidence. And there are different kinds of evidence, to be fair. But make sure you're backing it up with something and not merely making an assertion. Email etiquette. If you send me an email, and this is in the syllabus here, I'm not going to go into this too much. The particulars are in here. Just make sure you identify who you are and what class you're in. Because I have more than one class, and sometimes people will be like, why is my grade this? And you'll be writing from a personal email where I have no idea who you are. So make sure you identify yourself. Hey, it's me, Tom Burris. I'm in your ethics class. When's this assignment due again? Or what exactly are we supposed to do here? Just communicate effectively if we're talking via email. Attendance policy. It's the policy of Aiken Technical College to encourage and support students in academic achievement and progress by adopting an 80% minimum attendance policy for all classes, albeit for this online class, your presence is only required for the final exam as such. So let me just say this as a rule. You should be checking in at least twice a week in terms of what's going on. Now, the due dates of assignments are already labeled on this syllabus, so you know when everything's due. Usually after each quiz, there'll be like a dump of information saying, okay, here's what your next assignment is in order to prepare for quiz X. Here's the stuff that you should be doing. But just keep checking into Blackboard. Don't let a week go by where you're like, oh, I don't need to go in there and check and see what's going on. Make sure you're up to date on the assignments. Again, all the due dates are already here on the syllabus. I'm going to audibly say them out loud here in a little bit, but I want to make sure it's clear that I don't want you to get left behind. In an online course, it's so easy to just, I don't need to worry about it, and you can lose track of time. So I'm saying please don't do that, especially in a summer course where things are slightly more compressed. Don't lose track of time. Academic dishonesty. So here's what it means. All forms of academic honesty, including but not limited to cheating on tests, plagiarism, collusion, and falsification of information will call for discipline. So what does that mean? So here's how Aiken Tech defines cheating. Okay, copying from another student's test. Again, it's online. Probably not going to happen, but don't do it. Don't copy from someone else's test. Using materials during a test not authorized by the person giving the test. I'll go ahead and say this now. This is online, open book, open note tests, quizzes. Collaborating with any person during a test without permission. Despite being open book, open note, don't team up. That's called collusion. Don't team up with others for the class. Your work should be your own work. Knowingly obtaining, using, buying, selling, transporting, or soliciting in whole or in part the contents of an unadministered test. Oh, so you found a test from 2009, and you just try to turn that in or use its answers. Yeah, don't do that. Okay, bribing any other person to obtain tests or information about tests. Don't do that. Substituting for another student or permitting any other person to substitute for oneself. So don't let someone else take a quiz as you, and don't do that for someone else. And that's all cheating. And then 2, now I have, in all the time I've been working for Aiken Tech, I've never had a problem with cheating. Never. I have had a problem with the second notion here, plagiarism. And I think oftentimes it's unwitting. That is to say, people don't realize that they're doing it. So I want to make sure it's very clear here and now. And this really only affects the written assignments. Not the quizzes, not the final exam, but the written assignments, the analyses. Plagiarism is defined as the appropriation of any other person's work and the unacknowledged incorporation of that work in one's own work offered for credit. So what happens in plagiarism is you have quoted, alluded, or paraphrased something else without giving a citation for it. Oh, I'm talking about this. I got it from this book. I got it from this website. But you don't say that you got it from this book or this website. You just use it without attribution. It's both lying and stealing at the same time. So make sure, if you incorporate outside sources into your written work, that you include what those outside sources are. Don't just use them. So what happens is sometimes I've seen people take giant chunks straight from Wikipedia. Okay, which don't do that. All right, but they'll take big chunks, stick it into their paper, and then say, yes, this is my own work. I wrote this all by myself. when I can still see the links from Wikipedia in there. Like, some people don't even bother to take that out. So don't do that. And sometimes it's not like people trying to do it on purpose. Sometimes people are quoting from somebody and they forget to put where they got it from. So just be very careful about where you get your stuff from if you use something else, which none of that is required for this course, to use any outside sources for the written assignments for this class. None of it's required, but if you use it, make sure you're citing your sources. Now let's get into the assignments and where to find them. So, first of all, you have 6 quizzes throughout the term, each worth 8% of your final grade. Okay, and they're always going to be, the quizzes are always going to be multiple choice fill-in-the-blank questions. First 3 quizzes are going to be 10 questions, each worth 100%, and then the latter quizzes, 4, 5, and 6, are going to be worth 110% out of 100. That is, they each have a little bit of extra credit on the quiz as well. And it's always going to be multiple choice fill-in-the-blank questions from whatever block of material we're doing at the time. So if you scroll to page 7 in the syllabus, you'll see this. The quiz due dates. Quiz 1 is due May 18th. Quiz 2 is due May 31st. Quiz 3 is due June 13th. That's about the midpoint of the summer term. Quiz 4 is due June 30th. Quiz 5 is due July 12th. And quiz 6 is due July 22nd. Now, if you also scroll down a little bit further, you'll see there's a little addendum way down here, a footnote on the page that says the instructor reserves the right to push due dates for any assignment to a later due date, but the instructor shall not move a due date forward to an earlier date. So what that means is, if we get to a point in the semester for some reason, I'm like, you know what, this May 31st quiz 2, I'm going to move it to June 3rd. I'm not, or at least I don't plan to right now, but I'm saying that I could, but I would not move it to, say, the 31st to, like, you know what, I'm going to make it due May 28th instead. That's not going to happen. So something might move later, but it will definitely not move earlier. Now, these are the quiz due dates. There are other assignments too. There's the weekly analyses, there's the discussion board, there's the final exam. But when it comes to the quizzes, and each one of these is worth 8%. So if you add all these up, this really here is about half the grade of the course. But the other half is going to be the discussion board, the final exam, and the weekly analyses. Let's go ahead and take a look at the late policy, and then I'll explain where to find them. So you can turn in quizzes late, but you've got basically a 48-hour window to turn them in. So let's say that despite the fact that quiz 1 is due on May 18th, you turn yours in on May 19th. That's all right. It's a 10% penalty. So you turn it in, let's say you got everything correct on it, but you turn it in a day late, 10 points off. You still got an A. You got a 90. Okay, you turn it in 2 days late, 20% penalty. Any more than 48 hours, though, the quiz is gone. Okay, and you cannot turn it in after 48 hours. And the reason for that is because what will happen is, at 48 hours, the answer key for that quiz will pop up. And I'll show you where to find that right now. So here we are in Blackboard. If I go to Assignments, and I go to Quizzes, you'll see there's Quiz 1. It's good to go. And the other quizzes will pop up throughout the semester when they're available. But then also right in the same subfolder, the Quizzes subfolder, another folder will pop up that will say Quiz Answer Guides. So after 48 hours of when a quiz is due, the answer key will pop up so you can review your answers. Additionally, while we're here in Blackboard, all the stuff that you need is also here under the Assignments tab. So, for example, for the first quiz, the stuff which has to do with a little bit on logic, all that stuff is here. There are slides for all the ethical theories that we're going to go into. There are some more in-depth textual analyses where I go in a little bit more detail on specific texts and explain them. There is also a folder where you'll see the video lectures, which is what you'll have to do for most of this class, is watching videos like this one, except it'll be on course content instead of about like the syllabus and stuff like this. So let's take a look at where those can be found, since it will probably be your most important resource for this semester. So again, here in Blackboard, go to course lectures. And right now, here's a previous version of the video I'm literally making right now. And here are the first couple of lectures that you'll use for quiz 1. And I'll be making some adjustments to additional lectures and then be putting them up in here too. But this is the folder where you'll find the videos. I'll be posting announcements that will say exactly what videos you should be watching, what things you should be reading, and so on. Then the additional readings, all with their various subfolders throughout the semester, are right here, ready to go. And then you'll notice 2 other folders here, weekly analyses and final exam. They're already here, like where to find them, so that's not going to change. But let's go back to the syllabus to explain what those are. So we talked about the quizzes. Like I said, we'll have like a section of material to do. The stuff for what you need to do for quiz 1 will be popping up today, for example. So to summarize, there are 6 quizzes, each worth 8% of your final grade. Then there are also this assignment, 3 2-page weekly analyses, also each worth 8%. So everything except for the final exam is worth 8%. Let me go ahead and say that. Every assignment is worth 8%, with the exception of the final exam, which is worth 20%. So what are the weekly analyses? 3 times throughout the semester, and those 3 times are already at the bottom of this paragraph. And so the first one is due June 3rd, the second one is due June 25th, and the third and final one is due July 15th. This can be found on page 6 of the syllabus. So those are 3 other due dates. You will make a 2-page, and when I say 2-page, 12-point Times Roman Chicago manual style analysis of roughly a week's worth of class material. Okay, so basically talk about a week's worth of stuff. So what is a week's worth of stuff? 2-3 lectures worth of material. Summarizing it in your own words. So this is not a research paper. All I'm wanting you to do is for you to recapitulate back to me what is something that we talked about. Now I'm using weekly as a reference point there. It could be about less than that. It could be about one particular subject that you found interesting. I just want you to talk to me about it in your own words, analyzing what we talked about. Don't go off on a tangent like, oh, we were talking about ethics. That made me think about this one time where I was thinking about right or wrong. And I think it's right. And then you just go on a complete rant about something indirect. It's not that you can't bring in your own personal experience. You can't. Just tie it carefully to what it is that you're talking about. But I'll see people go into that sometimes in their writing. But this should be your writing. Not research, but your writing about analyzing something that we talked about in class. And again, there's a particular format that it needs to be, but you have resources that'll help you out in that regard. For this assignment, let me go and explain the late policy and on these, and then I'll show you your resources for this assignment. Just like the quizzes, 10 points off per day that they're late. However, here, you've got time to turn it in until the 10-point day expires. So the quizzes, there's an answer key to the quizzes, right? There's not really an answer key to these. So these, if you turn it in 5 days late, you got 50% off. Okay, 10 points for each day. I mean, hypothetically, you could turn it in 9 days late and get a 10% for it. And I'll say this, something is better than nothing. So if you miss a due date and you're like, oh, man, I should have turned it in a couple days ago. This would have been good, but now I'm going to get a 60 on it. Listen, the 60 is better than a 0. Turn something in. Okay, now let's go back to Blackboard to look at the resources for this assignment. So here we are, back in Blackboard. Go to Assignments, go to Weekly Analyses, and you see here's all 3, already ready to go with all their due dates. They're already in play. It's already here, all semester long. And you'll notice you've got this first one has a bunch of extra stuff with it. Now this extra stuff here applies to the others as well. But let me show you what you've got. You've got 4 documents here. The first one that I want to discuss is this paper formatting exemplar. What this is something that when you open it up, it will show you what the format of the paper should look like. It's basically an example of here's how you should do this, here's how you double space this, here's the font that you should use. If you do use an outside source, here's how to incorporate it. And it goes into detail about that. I will be doing a specific separate video where I go into more detail about that assignment. But that's already there for you. So you can go and see what's the format supposed to look like, what am I supposed to do? Make it look like that. And then I've given 3 examples of weekly analyses from the past where the student's name has been removed. I've given an example of a good one that's decent, a bad one, and by bad I mean like, oh, it's okay. And then I gave an example of one that was not good, so terrible. So you have an example you have 3 examples of what I'm looking for. One that says good, bad, and terrible. So you can look at those. So look at the good one. Am I doing something like this? So take a look at those. And again, I'll have a video on the weekly analyses that'll go into more detail about this assignment. Let's go back to the syllabus and look at the remaining assignments. So now let's talk about the discussion board. Here, you'll write at least 4 to 5 complete sentences within at least 3 discussion board or Discord threads. That doesn't include contributions to the autobiography nor course questions that you're asking me, but specific engagement to threads posted by the instructor, that's me. And all of these have to be entered in by end of day Friday, July 22nd, 2022. So again, you will be posting something either in the discussion board in Blackboard or on Discord, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But at least 3 contributions of 4 to 5 sentences. Now, where to find the discussion board? Well, if we go back to Blackboard, you can go here to the discussion board, and you'll notice here, right now there are a couple of threads that you can already post in, some stuff on ethics memes, some stuff on the relationship between logic and ethics, which will follow from the first assignment, and this is basically quiz 1 stuff. And you'll come in here and you'll respond to these things. At least 3 responses throughout the semester, 4 to 5 sentences on each one. And I said what doesn't count is the stuff like autobiography here. You're welcome to post stuff about yourself in here, but that doesn't count towards the discussion board. Now you'll notice I also said in there that it said discussion board / Discord. So the discussion board is available to you, but another place that I'm going to host the same stuff, and you can do one or the other, but I'm also going to post this stuff in our Discord link as well. So to get to our Discord link is stated in 2 places. One, if you go to instructor info, you've got our link right here. And also, if you go to course info and you open up the syllabus again, you will find it also under instructor information. That's our Discord link. So let me show you where that takes us. So when you open up our Discord link, it takes us to here, to Discord. And this is something that I've been trying to transition over to for this semester in particular, because Discord is so effective at communication. I like Blackboard for like hosting PDFs and hosting videos, but Discord is far, far better at communication. So what you'll see in here, it's not here yet, but you'll also see the discussion board threads here too. Now don't copy and paste in both. You can, whatever you do in one, I'll count that. Whatever you do in the other, I'll count that too, as long as you respond to 3 threads. It'll be the same threads in here for the discussion board stuff. There'll be a discussion board channel that I will add here in the next week. But you'll also have the option of using Discord for other reasons as well that I'll talk about in a little bit. Now let's talk about the final exam. The final exam will go live, as it says here, July 25th, and it will be due end of day, Thursday, July 28th. So that gives you the 25th, the 26th, the 27th, 28th to work on it. And that's so you could have the broadest amount of time possible to work on it. Granted, unlike the quizzes that have a 48-hour grace period, because grades need to be in on my behalf just a couple of days after the 28th, there is no grace period for the final exam. So it's due end of day the 28th. Nothing will be accepted after end of day the 28th. So make sure you get it in by that time. And remember, the final exam will only consist of questions from previous quizzes. So it's basically like the greatest hits of the 6 quizzes that you've already had. So there will be no new questions on the final exam. You could say it's cumulative, but it won't have anything new on it. It will only be stuff that you've already had, questions that you've already been asked. So that wraps it up for assignments. Now what I want to do now is talk about a couple of resources that you have for this class in particular, and that you have at the college in general. So the first thing that I want to do is go back to talking about Discord. So Discord is a social media service that's primarily oriented towards people playing video games and stuff like that, but it's also something that works as a communication tool. I've used it before, but I really want to incorporate it into this class. Now, let me be clear. Everything that I say about Discord is something that is entirely optional. You do not have to opt into it at all. You are not required to do so. You can do everything on Blackboard. But that being said, I think it will be very helpful if you do add Discord to the list of resources that you have available. Now, some of you might already be using Discord out there already for other reasons. What I want to invite you to be able to do here is to use it as, one, a substitute for the Blackboard discussion board, but also as a substitute for any communication that we do through Blackboard or Outlook. Here's the main thing that I want to say about Discord where I find it favorable, and I'll show you what I mean in a second and how to access it again. I want to reiterate that. But there are so many times in the past where I've missed emails from students because they get buried in all the emails that I get about everything every day, from everything that Aiken Tech is doing, new hires that we have, new things that we have available, and sometimes I have missed student emails because they're one email amongst 50 things that I've received in a day. And I don't like that. I want to be able to respond to everybody as quickly as possible. In Discord, if you write me directly in Discord, if you'd write me a DM in Discord, if you even write in the general channel, there'll be an option where there's like a frequently asked questions where you can ask a question for the course in Discord. Like, what do we do about this? I will see it instantly, and it won't be lost in the minutia of other things that the college is doing. I'll be able to see it right there. So let me show you what that looks like, and let me invite you to that. Again, the link is available both in my instructor info, and it's on the syllabus itself. Again, if we're here in Blackboard under my instructor info, I've got that Discord link available. You should be able to click on it here. It's also available if you go to course info and you go back to the syllabus. It's under my instructor information here. You should be able to click on it and it should be able to take you right there. Sometimes from Blackboard, it doesn't always work. You might have to copy and paste the link to get you into the Discord server. That's possible, but this is a permanent link to the Discord server. Let's take a look again at what that looks like. So here again is what Discord looks like. For me, what I've already got here is I've got here some basic rules. The same rules that would apply on Blackboard apply here. Don't put anything not safe for work. This should only be stuff that relates to the course and so on. But I find that Discord is a lot easier to use for communication. So one, you can go up here and you can send me direct messages. You can do this in Blackboard too, but it doesn't alert me in the same way. Like I have Discord on my phone, so if you want to write me a message, yeah, and you can write me, I'll go ahead and tell you this, you can write me a message 24/7. I probably won't respond to it if you send it to me at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you're welcome to do that at 3 o'clock in the morning. You can send it to me on the weekend. Probably won't respond on the weekend, but I might. I'm much more likely to respond to this than to email because email just, again, it gets lost. This is much easier to use. Again, it's not mandatory that you use it, but this is much more effective to use for communication. Write me a direct message. If you have questions about the class, like where do we find this stuff again? I'll post stuff here. There's nothing here right now in general, but if you're like, how do I get to this in Blackboard? I can post little videos here. I can post little instructional things here of how to do things in Blackboard. I can also upload things here. I'll probably put the syllabus here as well. I probably won't put all the readings but I might put some other things here as well too. Again, Discord is not as good at hosting information, but it's much better for direct communication. Also, I have meeting rooms here as well. Like, let me open one up, and what this would do is if I open this up, and I started my video here, what I can do right here right now, what I could do is I could talk to you here about something. You want to come to here and ask me a question about something, I can talk to you right here directly. So that's the point of that. And so I can't use that because I'm using my camera for this right now, but I could if I wanted to. Again, this is much more effective for communication. I would prefer to use this for communication, but it's not mandatory because if you use Discord, just like any other social media service, you'd have to sign up for an account, and I don't want to make that mandatory for anybody, but I would prefer it. And I think if you use it, I think you'll find that it's better too. And hopefully if we use this, maybe we can get some other Aiken Tech courses and even Aiken Tech itself to incorporate this into the milieu of things that it uses. Because again, Blackboard's good at some things, hosting media, again, PDFs, videos, things like that, being able to interconnect with other kinds of resources, it's great for that. Not great at communication, and I don't think Outlook is particularly good at communication because of how bloated it gets to. So this is what I'll be using, but again, it's not mandatory that you use it. As I said earlier, I'll also be using this for the discussion board too as a supplement. You don't have to, you can use one or the other. You can actually combine both. But if you put something in the discussion board on Blackboard and you also put it here, that only counts once. Let me make sure that's clear here too. And now I want to talk about a couple of other resources that you have at Aiken Tech that you may not be aware of. Perhaps you are, perhaps you're not, but I want to go into those as they're stated in the syllabus too. Let's do that. First of all here, let's talk about Aiken Tech's QEP, or Quality Enhancement Plan. So I'm going to read from this and explain some of it. So the QEP here is basically a program that we have at Aiken Tech that lets you know you have a bunch of resources available to you that you may not be aware of. A lot of people go to colleges, universities, and they don't know all the stuff that they have available to them. Yeah, I'm supposed to go to class, I got this stuff, whatever. Here's the stuff that you have available to you. You have academic counseling, tutoring, library resources, all kinds of reading and writing resources available to you as well. And here on the syllabus is an explanation of those resources that you have available to you. And here on this syllabus is a enumeration of all those things that you have available to you and the contact information on those places to learn more about it. In addition to that, you'll see under the student support services, you have available to you tutoring, coaching, career services, library, emergency aid, confidential counseling. The contact information is right here. You can text, call, email, all kinds of resources available to you. You can also find this stuff available through your ATC portal as well. Finally, students with disabilities. If you have a disability that has been Documented, the college will provide reasonable accommodations as appropriate for students with documented disabilities. In order for a student to receive accommodations based on disability, the student must submit documentation from a qualified professional. The Disability Services Coordinator will view the documentation, determine the appropriate accommodations, and provide a faculty notification form to the student. You got one of those? Send it to me. So that's it on the syllabus and the introduction to the course. And really, first day, you should stop here. Go ahead, take all this in. This is a lot to take in. Think about any questions that you may have and reach out to me at my email, burist@atc.edu. Of course, you can also, once you get into Discord, you can reach out there to me as well. I probably will respond faster via Discord than I will via email. Sometimes it takes email a little while to go through. So, I truly hope you have a great semester. Again, questions, ask me. I am a resource for you. Please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions throughout the semester. There are no stupid questions. I don't want you to ever think that you're inconveniencing me by asking a question. I might point you back here to the syllabus or something that's in this video, but don't ever think like, oh no, this is a stupid question, I shouldn't be asking that. Never think that. It's totally fine. Send it my way. I hope you have a good semester in all your classes, and remember, here at Aiken Tech, we are rooting for you. I'm on your team. Okay, I don't want anybody to be unsuccessful. I'm here to help you be successful. But the only thing I'm going to ask of you is that you start here and now. Like, make sure that you communicate with me what you need and make sure that you're clear on the things that you need to do. So if anything that I said in this video is not clear to you, and again, there will be some supplemental videos. I'll have a whole separate video about weekly analyses and things like that. And there'll be more videos coming. But if something's not clear to you, talk to me as soon as possible because I want to help you out. Have a good semester.